before we start, I'm super excited to introduce our four panelists tonight. Although really and truly, they do not need much introductions. But for those of you joining us on Periscope, and for the new faces I see tonight, I will just give some brief introductions. So our first panelist is our very own Regional Assistant Commissioner, Vince Pranjovan, who spoke earlier tonight. Vince has been with the agency since 1981 and has seen the CRA through many changes over the years. He provides outstanding leadership to the Ontario region and to the CRA, and is one of the leaders on social media, actually, with over 1,700 Twitter followers, which is quite an outstanding feat. Our next panelist is the Deputy Assistant Commissioner, Joanne Tedesco. Welcome, Joanne. Joanne has actually been with the agency since 1992, where she started at the London TSO as an auditor, I believe. There's some London TSO employees out there. Since then, she's contributed to many regional, national initiatives and is one of the most influential and leading female role models for us out there in the Ontario region. Our third panelist is Tony Proja, the Director of the Hamilton Niagara TSO. Welcome, Tony. Tony has over 35 years experience with the public service, and he informed me actually tonight that he started at the Toronto Centre as a payroll auditor. So be sure to ask your questions to Tony. He has a wealth of experience with the organizations. Our last panelist, but not least, is Renee Cohen. Very popular. Team leader at the Revenue Collections Division at the Toronto Centre TSO, and the chair of the Young Professional Network at the Toronto Centre. So Renee has contributed to a lot of initiatives at the TSO and has been with the organization since 2008 when she started at the Toronto Call Centre. Welcome, Renee. Thank you all for being part of our Engage ON discussion panel tonight. I look forward to the questions that we get to ask you guys. Before we start, I'd just like to put a few ground rules out there and reminders. For those of you joining us on Periscope, please be sure to use the hashtag EngageON to ask your questions to our panelists. We will be monitoring. I think Christine and Sharon Elliott will be looking for questions, so please be sure to use the hashtags, and we will ask the panelists your questions. For those of you in the room, we actually have two microphones circulating on the north and south side of the bar. Look for Robin, he's over there, and Josh right here in the middle. So you can either make your way to these two individuals or put your hand up and they will look for you for questions. Please do not be shy. Make sure you get your questions and use this opportunity to ask our leaders your questions. So let's start, shall we? I think I'll get the ball rolling and take this opportunity myself to ask a question. And then we'll go to Twitter and to the floor for questions. So clearly from the great turnout tonight, it seems like we are working towards being a more collaborative government more now than ever before. However, sometimes it still feels like we're working through silos that have been in place for many years. My question is, how would you suggest someone navigates their career through this changing time? Is it tough questions?
Sorry everyone, we need to, because we're doing this on Periscope, we need to try to get the noise to go down just a little bit. There'll be lots of opportunity to connect with people, so if you can move a little closer to make sure you can hear, and try to keep the side conversations down just for now. Thanks.
because I got 35 years of experience, a little bit more than Tony. I think he's got 35 also. We both started as payroll auditors, so that's a good question. I mean, as you start in the organization, you wonder what you should or shouldn't do to advance your career in the organization. And I think for me, I would recommend that people, as you look at the changes that happen in the organization, that we actually try different things in the organization, and that allows you to sort of learn the business as business changes. And to be a leader in any organization, whether it's here or any other organization, you need to know what happens on the ground floor. And I think the more you can actually learn about what happens in different areas in the organization, you can actually develop that sense of what the organization is about, and then you can navigate to see where you want to be. It's never a straight road to where you want to be. You have to take turns, left turns, right turns, sometimes U-turns, to get to what your vision is and what you want to do in the future. So I would recommend that at least if you want to navigate a career in a government agency like ours, have a vision as to what you want to do when you grow up. And then work towards that vision. It might not be a straight line, but you need to know what you want to do. Tony?
Thank you, Vince. That is very good advice. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to try jobs that may not be in the division you're currently working in. So you'll get a different perspective from working in another area of the business and get a broader idea of what the government's business is and what the CRA's business is. So very much a case of getting out of your comfort zone if you're in a particular division and take a chance going to another division and learning. The other aspect is just to talk to people and find out what they do and take an interest in it. So if you're not in audit, for example, you can talk to somebody from audit and get insight from them as to how that part of the operation works. I think that would be very useful.
Thanks, Tony. I think that actually that question really is a jewel of working for the government, because one of the things I love about working for the government, and in particular CRA, is that within CRA you can have many different jobs and never leave your employer. And once you get bored with that, you can still go out and go to other government departments. So there's no other employer that actually offers you that kind of breadth in terms of challenges and in terms of just new experiences. And I couldn't agree more with Tony's comment regarding doing things that you maybe be a little bit afraid to do. You think, oh, I don't know anything about that. Should I jump in? Well, rip off the Band-Aid and jump in there and do it, because you'll find that you expand your network. You'll understand the business better no matter where you end up or where you land. Ultimately, you'll always think, geez, now I have a bigger network to lean back on, and I also have more experiences to lean back on in terms of understanding what service means to our taxpayers.
Just to build on what everybody was saying, I think a lot of it is that we sometimes forget how interconnected all of our roles are. It's very easy to get caught up in the daily tasks and in the big picture of things, where actually everything that we do affects everything that somebody else does in another division. And so sometimes it's nice to just do something as simple as look up and say hi to somebody at lunch that maybe you haven't met before, and get into a conversation with them about their role and some of the things that they face on a daily basis.
Thank you so much for those responses. I actually really connect well, and I appreciate hearing my leaders saying that, because it's some of the advice that I'm going to take and employ as I move forward in my career. So can I get this side of the room? I can really hear you guys up here to bring it down 10 notches. I hope you're not talking over there, Robin, are you? Is that you? And then over here, there goes my phone. Another 10 notches. I think I can see some people talking in the back. If I can see you, I will say your name. I have no. I can make you. That's not Jellica, is it? No. So I hear this group still talking. If you guys can just bring it down a notch. I'd really like to hear what these guys are saying. So I'm sure a lot of people in here would as well. we're going to take it over to Twitter. So while our leaders are talking, if we could just keep it down. This session won't last for that long, actually. And I think the questions are very valuable and you could really take away from it. So if you can just bear with us for, I think, another 15 minutes. Someone's going to give me the time. Okay, so we have a question coming from Twitter. Is there any post-education that you recommend for a new leader? I'll say it one more time. Is there any post-education, post-secondary education that you recommend for a new leader? Anyone want to start this one off? Any takers? I see Tony leaning in.
I can't say that there's one particular discipline that would be more helpful than another. I can speak from experience. I have a bit of public administration in my background. So it's helpful from the point of view of understanding how government works and where I fit in the government to give the best advice I can to my leaders and to the minister and the role they play. So for me, that particular background has helped me better understand and situate what I do and what my role is and what the value added is I'm expected to bring in my role as a public servant.
That's a good question. I mean, as we become a leader, whether it's a team leader, manager, director, assistant director, or an AC, I think what I find what we need to learn as we convert ourselves from a technician to a leader is to understand what our leadership style is. How do we connect with people? So it's not a post-secondary course, but a course on understanding how you come across to people that work for you and colleagues that you work with. So I remember when I first became a leader many years ago, there was a thing called a team leadership practice inventory, and I think it's still available through some outside firm. But it was about 300 questions on what I thought I was doing as a leader, and the same 300 questions were asked to my team and what they thought of those 300 questions. And it's a very a good way to learn as to what you think you're doing and what your team thinks you're doing. And to me, it's not a post-secondary course, but the investment I made in that, it was probably about a 2-day exercise where I filled out my form and I asked all my team members to fill out the form for me. And then we got together as a team and discussed the answers. And it was very eye-opening for me in terms of what I needed to do to sort of change my leadership practices and where I was good, where I was needed to do some additional work. So as a leader, as we get into a leadership role, you can't do it in day one, but after you're in the job for about a year or so, it'd be good to sort of start that sort of questionnaire and talk to folks and say, what's the perception? What I think I'm doing great, but my team may think I'm doing lousy, but it's a good way to sort of get that. And it's anonymous, so you don't have to worry about who said the bad things about you.
I'd say, I personally never did a post-secondary education to develop my leadership skills. I didn't take that path. I'm sure there's many different courses that people took, but for me, it was more about reading. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of things in terms of kind of the current literature at the time on leadership, and I still do, to keep my skills going and also to ensure that I'm relevant and emerging. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is the power of observation. You'll look around throughout your career at some amazing leaders. They'll be above you, they'll be below you, they'll be beside you. And watching them and learning from them is a very powerful medium. And I would also suggest too, you'll see some leaders that aren't as strong. And you see them above, below, and beside. And learn from them too, because you can learn a lot about what not to do. And I think it's some lessons that you can sometimes learn through somebody else's school of hard knocks, and I think it's a very important thing because you see the impact of it sometimes. So many different paths to develop your leadership skills, and all of them very personal. And I'd encourage you to kind of reflect as to what time commitment you want to put in outside of work, inside work, and what best fits into your personal life.
I think, any post-secondary courses that you take that will fuel your passion, that sort of positive energy will really bleed into your work life as well. And so I don't think it's necessarily specific to the type of courses that you can take, but really something that's going to energize you and take that with you into your work life.
Thank you very much for your responses. It's true, sometimes you don't know what to do, and if you look up, below, and around you, you can get some indication of what you like. I think we're going to open it up to the floor. I believe Robin has a question.
Jay here from Toronto Work who wants to ask a question.
What was the best advice you ever received from one of your own mentors while moving up in your career?
Should I just repeat the question? What was advice you received from one of your own mentors while moving up in your career?
I guess one of the most important things that I've received in terms of advice is something really simple, which is to smile. Sometimes if you're feeling a little nervous, or perhaps if you're not entirely sure what to do at this point, if you just sort of smile, it really changes your outlook on what you're doing, and it'll really help you handle almost anything, even things that you didn't think that you could handle.
Okay, the best piece of advice I got was many years ago, when I was about 10 years old. I was growing up in Fiji, and my dad had a clothing factory. Some of you probably have heard this story, but he had about 30 ladies working for him in the factory, and he told me once that he would never install a punch clock in a factory. And that's never been heard of in terms of a factory without a punch clock. And so he said, for me, leadership is about making sure that you treat the people that work for you as family. Treat them well, and they will give you 120% every time you ask for it. So, I had learned that he was not an educated man, but he ran a business. And for him, it was these ladies had kids at home, they had the families to take care of. Some days they'll come in late, some days they'll leave early. But when I ask them to do something, they'll certainly sit there and do it for me. So treat them as family. And that's always stuck with me and throughout the work that I've done, is to make sure that the people that work for you, they're the ones that actually make you look good or bad. And you have to make sure you treat them with respect and with civility, and make sure that you treat them as family.
Well, I personally have received a lot of advice from many wise people, so I'm trying to filter through what would be the best right here and now. But probably the one that I constantly rejig myself on throughout my entire career has been to always seek the feedback of the people that you work with, no matter what. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, you're going to go to a meeting and you're going to fall flat, or your initiative's not going to move forward. You need to go out and talk to the people that you wanted to, the people that you were working with at the time, whether they be superiors or colleagues or subordinates, and make darn sure you really understand what went wrong, so that you're continuously giving yourself that feedback loop. And it's a hard thing to do because you don't always hear back what you want to hear, but you're going to learn from it. And you need to make sure that you find the right people to get that feedback from, because some people won't give you the truth. There's some people are too polite, some people are afraid that it's going to hurt their career, there's all sorts of reasons, and some people just kind of quit. But you'll figure it out. You'll figure out who the people that you can go out and get that trusted, hardcore advice from, and then you can continually calibrate and change your style and methodology as you move forward.
Thank you for your responses. I think it's so noisy in here because we haven't seen each other in so long, Vince. So I think we need to have a few more of these networking events so that we don't want to catch up when we meet up, Right? I think that's what it is. Okay, I think there's another question coming from the floor. Over to you, Robin.
I'm not here, Rose Bautista. I'm not the one asking
So my question is, we're in a time of unprecedented change in terms of the tools, technologies we have access to, as well as the taxpayers. How do you see the CRA and the larger organization, the larger business in general, adapting, becoming more nimble, and able to face all these new challenges and new opportunities?
Can you say it one more time?
One more time, sure. So, in the time, as we're in a time of a lot of change and new technologies and new capabilities, both ourselves and taxpayers, how do you see the CRA and the larger federal government adapting to make ourselves more nimble and take advantage of the available capabilities and to tackle the challenges that we face?
So in this changing time, technology, how do we see the CRA adapting to be more nimble, to keep up with what's going on in the private world, say with technology?
And just speaking from someone who's been in the organization for 35 years, I mean, I'm very proud of what the CRA has done and the adopting that it's done and the work that it's done with some of its online services. We're the envy of government in many ways for the work that we've done. So we're trying as best we can, of course, to keep pace, which is very challenging because it just multiplies so rapidly. And the term that I always use is I'm not sure it's possible in government to ever be leading edge, but it's important that we be fast followers as much as possible because it is something that impacts on our relevance. If we're not, in fact, staying up with what the expectations of Canadians are, that impacts our relevance. So I think we've been doing a good job, and I think we're getting quite good and better at this. But it is a very valid question, and it is a concern, I think, that all senior leaders are thinking about and trying to build that capacity in the organization.
That's a good point, Tony. I mean, to me, as an organization, whether it's the CRA or the federal government, we have to be making sure that we are relevant to the taxpayers. And technology is moving at a pace that we've never seen before. I think if I look at when I joined the organization 35 years ago, we've come a long way in 35 years. I remember the days when we only had one phone per team, no photocopiers, and getting a team leader to sign off on making photocopies. So we have come a long way. But the government has never been one that adopts technology as soon as it's released outside. And there's a good reason for that, I think. To me, the government should let the private sector test it out, make sure it's working well, so we don't have problems like Phoenix. But we have to make sure that as we progress in the organization, and I think CRA has done a great job in terms of, if you look at how we've transformed our filing, we're probably one of the leading tax administrations in the world that allows e-filing. We started e-filing before people had computers, and telefiling. And I think, if you look at our e-strategy, we've certainly got a lot coming that allows us to be engaging with taxpayers as they would like to engage with us. We need to sort of ensure that we're not still asking people to file tax returns by paper or by computer. We need to make sure that they can use their smartphones and file. Or even better yet, why do they need to file if we have all the information? So that's where we're moving slowly. But it does require us to make sure that we have the right technology. At the same time, because we have so much information on Canadians, we have to make sure that the protection of that information is very important for us. We have to make sure that we can't forego the security of the information for the sake of speed at times. So we are slow at times, but I think there's a good reason for that.
Thank you, Vince, for your response. We're just going to check the time. How are we doing? One more question. This one's coming from the Periscope. It's an easy question. I don't think we have that much time, but we'll see if we can add it in. We talked about education. I know there's a lot of young professionals in the room. So the question coming from Periscope is, what would you recommend? What skills skill set should a young professional work on? So not really the educational aspect, but what skill set should a young professional work on? So maybe we can start this off with Renee.
So I think the most important skill set that I felt has really helped me along the way is people skills. So connecting with people, speaking with people, because technology changes, procedures change, but the one thing that will always remain constant is people. There's always going to be people that you're going to be working with, people you look up to, people that look up to you, and so really taking the time to connect with people and speak to them and learn from them and learn from each other really is one of the most important things that I've found.
I think that is a great answer, and I think that is very important too, right? The other one is not so easy to build, and that's judgment. I really think I've seen in my time in the organization a lot of smart people who sometimes made inappropriate judgments, and that comes with time and experience, I think, and that's something you've got to be working on all the time, and be around those people that can share their experience and then take that, make that part of your own wisdom, so that judgment is something that you can give advice to superiors on and your own employees on, and so on and so forth. I think that's an important skill.
I'd say something that is really important to work on is your communication skills. And I think there's many facets to that. It's all the different mediums as well. It's in writing. You need to be, to get ahead, you need to be able to write in a manner that people understand you in a concise and quick fashion. That would be my first point. Secondly, it'd be around oral communication skills. You need to be able to situate your communications with people so that they understand it. So you need to understand your audience, and you need to understand what they want to, what kind of language they need to relate to what your message is. And I think if you really look at some of our great communicators, like we have Tony, we have Deb Danis, really Frank Pagnotta, great communicators, and they have a real knack at connecting with the audience and situating the commentary so that it has big influence. And if you observe people like that through your career, you will absolutely move forward in your organization.
All great points. I won't add much more, but the only other thing I would add is, it's not about education, it's about as you come into the role and as you prepare yourself, what I look for in terms of individuals is, can they connect with people? What's the behavior like? Are they connecting with people and understanding and allowing people to engage with them? I think that's important. As individuals, it doesn't matter whether you're a team leader, an auditor, or a collector. If you have the ability to connect with people, you learn. You learn from people, and you'll be able to influence decisions as a result of your ability to connect with people, whether it's AEC, whether it's a team leader, whether it's an AD. And oftentimes in an organization like ours is a culture such that oftentimes we don't actually value such behavior at times, because we push people to do certain things and we measure the wrong behavior. So for me, it's always important when I look at individuals as leaders or whatever, I say, where do I see these individuals? What's their civility like? Are they actually paying attention to the panel or talking to themselves while the panel is going on? Those are the things that I look for.
Great answers tonight, really great answers, and actually the perfect segue into our next activity. So in communicating, you got to know your people skills, you have to be able to communicate, you have to be able to really think back and reflect in order to have good judgment and connect